Well, here we go on a Monday. I can smell football. This is The Herd. Wherever you may be and however you may be listening, we are live in Los Angeles on iHeartRadio, Fox Sports Radio, and FS1. Joy Taylor has emerged from the desert in Arizona. She and Scorpions, the only ones that survived this weekend of 120 degrees.
It was 115, yes. But it was beautiful where we stayed, and Earl was in the air conditioning gym for the College Basketball Academy with the NCAA, so it was a good weekend. But yes, Phoenix is hot right now.
I was up in Lake Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, which was 79 degrees and beautiful for a cancer charity. So we had kind of disparate weekends, but we land back here. It is a Monday.
Yes.
We have a ton of stuff today. Great video out, good stories. So I want to talk about the Dallas Cowboys. I've been leading with them for a week because, as I've told you, I would trade Ezekiel Elliott for lots of draft picks. Amari Cooper said yesterday, 1 year left in his contract, I want to be here. I'm not holding out. I don't even want to talk about it. That's a media topic. Dak Prescott said, I'll get to it when I get to it, even though I'm a fourth-round pick. By the way, Jason Garrett only has 1 year this year on his contract. He said it's not a topic. Zeke, 2 years left, is holding out. Not to mention, was just got out of the principal's office with Roger Goodell a month ago, and he's still acting up. So let me just start with this. I do not, I'll let you inside the way I see life a little bit. I don't like to be trapped economically. I hate it. This is why I eat before I go to airports. I get a sandwich before I go to an airport. So if my flight's delayed, I'm not paying $18 for a chicken sandwich. This is why I eat before I go to games. So I don't pay $27 for average nachos. I don't like being trapped economically. Some stuff I have to pay for. I got to pay for gas, and it's expensive in California. I got to pay for groceries. Groceries can be expensive in California, but I don't like being trapped economically. So I eat before I go to airports, and I eat before I go to games. And I'll do that the rest of my life. Doesn't matter what I make. I don't like being trapped. The Dallas Cowboys, now NFL owners and NBA owners are different. NBA owners usually cave. NFL owners, it's a 50-50 split, whether they pay somebody in a holdout. I think Dallas is going to cave, and I think Jerry's going to cave because he loves Zeke. Jerry's, in his own personal life, was imperfect and sometimes need to be monitored. And I think Jerry can relate to players. That's why Jerry's always seen himself as a young oil maverick. He's a risk taker. He's fun. He's a social drinker. He's out there telling stories, flirting with the world. That's who Jerry Jones is. So I think he supports players who make mistakes, can be a little young, a little childish, and that's Jerry's kind of guy. He has a history. But this is where I wouldn't want to be Dallas. They're trapped. The reason Pittsburgh was not trapped with Le'Veon Bell is Pittsburgh drafts a running back every year. I mean, they drafted James Conner. This year they got a kid out of Kentucky, Benny Snell. New England's never trapped. They didn't need running backs. They had the deepest running back core in the league last year outside of Cleveland. New England drafted another running back. Philadelphia's got like 5 guys. They drafted another running back. Philadelphia, New England, Pittsburgh, the reason they don't get trapped on running backs, they just keep drafting them. Meanwhile, the Cowboys went out and drafted finally another running back, Tony Pollard, who was the second best running back at his college. He's more of a receiver than he is a running back. So Dallas now is economically trapped. They're trapped. They got to pay him. And I think they will pay him, and they'll work it out. But this is one of the things I just don't like being. And I think if you watch the better run teams in the NFL, I think the Colts now, multiple backs. Eagles, multiple backs. I think in New England, multiple backs. Pittsburgh's got multiple capable backs. Cleveland, give John Dorsey credit. Cleveland's got multiple backs. That's the way, in my opinion, to do it. You don't get trapped economically because when a position, and running back is now an inevitably, unavoidably violent position in football, it just is. By the way, the Chargers with Melvin Gordon, they're not trapped. They prefer him, but the Chargers are not trapped. The Rams a little bit now. They just drafted a running back at the end of last year. The Rams felt trapped with Todd Gurley, paying him a ton. He's hurt. So what do they do? Their second pick this year, the Rams went out and got another running back. So I think Dallas is going to pay him. I don't like paying people 2 years early. I would not cave if I was Jerry Jones. But if you look at his history, you look at the running back situation right now for Dallas, I don't think they have a choice. They backed themselves economically into a corner. They now have to pay You know, they got to pay $17 for a chicken sandwich at an airport. They're going to have to pay $19 for a Heineken at a baseball stadium. That's where the Cowboys are. They got to have him. They back themselves into a corner. Linebackers, they got a couple. You know, wide receivers, they've got a couple I like. Running back, they got a dude. One. They're going to have to pay him. All right, so let me shift to this. So the NFL Network does this every year. They list their 100 best players. And they release like 10 at a time. And they always throw a curveball in there or something just to get guys like me to talk about it. I'm a sucker for lists, and so they get me every year. And this year, it's not egregious, but we now have a new player in the NFL that is completely disrespected. And his name is Deshaun Watson. He's the quarterback for Houston. So the NFL Network put Baker Mayfield ahead of Deshaun Watson. And this list, by the way, is always based on last year. It's voted on by players. So one of my big problems I have with the American sports media, and I would say this is my biggest problem with the American sports media, we never consider what you're surrounded by. If you're good, it's because you're great. And if you're bad, it's because you're terrible. Well, that's not the way. I'm doing the best show I've ever done in my life. That's because I'm surrounded by the best management and the best group of coworkers. We never in sports consider, well, what is this guy's offensive line like? What did he inherit? Who's his coach? So Baker Mayfield and Deshaun Watson. Now, never forget this. Baker Mayfield comes into the league. He inherits Jarvis Landry, a 90-catch Pro Bowl receiver. He inherits David Njoku, first or second best tight end. He inherits 3 good running backs. He inherits an offensive guy, Hugh Jackson, and Todd Haley, veteran offensive guys. Deshaun Watson comes into the league. He inherits the worst offensive line in the NFL, marginal to below average tight ends. They don't have any running backs of note. And he has 1 great receiver, which, of course, is always hard to throw to when you're on your arse, running for your life. So NFL Network today, Baker's better than Deshaun. Let me give you a few numbers. Last year, Deshaun Watson won 11 games. Baker won 6. Well, Baker's a very accurate precision passer. Really? Because behind the worst offensive line in the league, Deshaun Watson completed 68% of his throws, Baker 64. Well, but Baker, yards, Deshaun Watson, check. Interceptions, Baker 14, Deshaun 9. And oh, by the way, I'm not even mentioning the fact that one of them won the high jump championship in the 9th grade in Georgia. One of them maybe is the best athlete in the league at quarterback, Deshaun Watson, 5 rushing touchdowns and 550 yards rushing. Behind an atrocious offensive line with no tight ends and no running game. NFL Network, are you just trying to get under my skin? Are you watching the games? Now, over the next 10 years, who knows what happens? But in terms of leadership qualities, let me remind you of something Deshaun Watson did last year. With a punctured effing lung, they couldn't fly him to a game. They had to bus him to a game. They went 0-3 to start the season, Houston. And Deshaun, this is what leadership looks like. Deshaun Watson put the team on his back and won 9 straight games. History of the NFL had never happened. In the history of the NFL, it never happened that a guy opens the season 0-3 and wins 9 straight. Brady didn't do it. Montana didn't do it. Peyton Manning didn't do it. Brett Favre didn't do it. Y.A. Tittle probably didn't do it. Deshaun Watson with a punctured lung behind the worst offensive line in the league did it. You got to be kidding me. We have a new guy in the league that's the most disrespected. By the way, Nick Saban twice had 6 weeks to prepare for Deshaun Watson and couldn't stop him. Johnny Manziel beat Nick Saban once after Bama had played back-to-back tough games, then a 3rd straight week. Johnny Manziel had a great first half, and basically Saban figured him out at halftime. He had 6 weeks twice to prepare for Deshaun Watson and couldn't figure him out. Baker inherited a great situation. Veteran offensive coaches, Pro Bowl receiver, a fledgling superstar tight end, tremendous running back group. Deshaun Watson's been dealing with an albatross of an O-line, no separators at tight end, 1 great receiver, but he's doubled, and it's hard to consistently get the ball to people when you're on your back. I mean, this is the classic example of, can we at least acknowledge what people are working with? Even Kobe Bryant, one with Shaq and one with Pau Gasol. How'd Kobe do in between that? Not much. What did Bill Cowherd do as a Steeler coach? What did the Steelers do between Bradshaw and Big Ben? That's with great owners, good GMs, great Hall of Fame coaches, Cowherd and Tom. What did they do between Bradshaw and Big Ben? They were the Lions. They didn't do anything. They weren't winning championships. Lord, can we just acknowledge that some people in life grow up with rich parents? Some people grow up with poor parents. It's kind of an advantage. Sam Darnold, and I know you think this is a Darnold thing. Darnold inherited a horrible O-line, no receivers, a good tight end who now is suspended for the first 4 games, and no backs. You think he's going to struggle a little with a defensive coach? I mean, come on, folks. We got to consider what people in life inherit. Where do they come from? Do they have to deal with a chaotic family, a chaotic offensive line, a coach? I mean, NFL Network at this point is just trying to make me mad. I'm convinced that that's the whole game now. Yeah, what list can we do that Cowherd will talk about? I am tired of it. Thank God I ate great seafood in Idaho all weekend, or I would be in a terrible mood.
Great seafood in Idaho?
Trout. Well, I went to a party. Northwest has good food. Lakes everywhere. Trout, salmon.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it was Lord. And you were looking at scorpions scurry across.
I did not see a scorpion, thank God. I actually didn't even think about a scorpion all weekend, which is probably good, because if I had, I probably would have panicked.
Freaked out.
Because they climb in your shoes.
Oh, no. Last time, I mean, I love Arizona. Last time I was at a resort, there was a scorpion on campus. Yeah, the guy, when you check in, is like, there's scorpions back there. I'm like, that's like one time I went, I was in Orlando, and a friend of mine, Trace Gallagher, is a good water skier. He used to be a professional water skier. Now he works for Fox News. And we went on a lake jet skiing. Mm-hmm. And I said, he's a great water skier. I'm lousy. And I said, is there any
alligators?
Alligators in the lake?
For sure.
Now, the answer I was looking for was no.
That would be a lie,
He goes, yeah, but they hate the noise a boat motor makes. That's not the answer I'm looking for.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely an alligator in there.
No, sure. It's like, oh, they're all over here, but they don't like the noise of the boat motor. So for the next 2-3 hours, I was trying to figure out how to sound like a boat motor when I fell off the skis.
just kicking around. Yes, there's definitely alligators there.
Coming up next, oh my Lord, somebody else was critical of Aaron Rodgers. I am not a hater. I am not alone, and that is coming up next. I had last night I got home. And wife put a burger on the grill, butcher box. Oh, Lord. It's just the best time of the year. Just a tomato, onion, pickle, little cheese, great piece, butcher box, grass-fed beef, brioche bun, boom, done. Little mustard.
That's a nice setup.
Oh, it was great, lad. I didn't even have to make it. Summer is here. It's barbecue season. It is grill season. Butcher Box the company. Grass-fed beef, free-range organic chicken, wild-caught salmon, Bristol Bay, Alaska, heritage breed pork, the best farms. They work with them that raise animals humanely. It's an ethical process. There's no hormones ever added, no antibiotics ever added. And they deliver it to your door with free shipping, which comes out to less than $6 a meal, which is just absolutely unheard of. Okay? Cooking for friends, cooking for family. Listen, it's early August. We got about 5